Hey y'all, I'm Jeremy, and I'm building my second Moose 1 blaster, so I figured I'd go ahead and record the process, because I don't think there are any build videos for this particular one out there just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and break it down on mine. What you're going to need to get this put together, obviously all of your printed parts for the blaster, hardware kit. There is a bill of materials available in the Google Drive folder with all the print files and stuff, but I just ordered my hardware kit from Moose because, this tube is gnarly and I didn't really want to do this whole thing myself. So, hardware kit from Moose. Tools on your end, you're going to need something to drive screws with and drill and generally rotary tool with. Punch set or anything to just put pins in with more efficiently. You're going to need some E6000 or other adhesive. I'm sure you could use epoxy, stuff like that, but I'm going to use E6000 because that's recommended, and some gloves for that. You're going to want a file, something for heat setting inserts, general purpose cutting tool for elastic, everybody's favorite reaming tool for some plastic and metal edges. If you have any issues, the Loctite Red, not really required, but if you manage to somehow pop your latch off the threaded rod, it is secured with Loctite Red. So, now you know. Hammer, mallet, some other kind of pounding implement, and heat for your elastic. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, let's get started off with the plunger tube assembly. For that, you're going to need your plunger tube, obviously, your bolt handle, the bolt handle knob, one of your long black screws, and one of your standard nuts. Adhesive of choice, I'm going with the E6000, some paper towels for the E6000, and your glovies. Alright, so to get it cracking, we've got our bolt handle and knob. Your nut goes into the little recess inside the bolt handle. I've already placed that. And then our knob goes on the top. Come on, bad boy. Boom. Long black screw, straight down the middle. Boom. Now you will notice on this, it has 1, 2, 3 holes on one side, 1 hole on the other. And on this guy, 1 hole, 1, 2, 3 holes. Put your puzzle together. Now for this, you're gonna wanna use just a whole bunch of your E6000. I'm going to be lathering it inside the tube, all around the bolt edge, and then I'm just gonna be squirting it into every hole that a screw's going into. So this thing is gonna have no way for air to escape, and that's how we like it. Hopefully I'm doing some editing right now to make this faster. Nice and generous. Give that some good spins to make sure it's nice and evenly distributed. Remind yourself where the holes are because you forgot that stuff had no determinants. And bada boom, right? Bada boom. And we're gonna start screwing. There we go. Generous with that E6000. No holes left behind. Everyone gets adhesive. Alright. Give that a quick little cleanup on the adhesive. I don't know about you, but I love the smell of E6000. My sinuses, just clean, crystalline. Nothing quite like it. Alright. And we now have us a plunger tube. Up next, we are adding the pusher to the plunger tube and bolt handle that we've assembled so far. So you're going to need your E6000, your plunger tube and bolt handle, the pusher, 2 small screws, 2 small O-rings. And what we're going to do is get some E6000 in the party. I am very generous with this stuff because I can always wipe it off and clean it up, but I cannot go back through and plug holes up nearly as easily. There we go. And let's get that bad boy centered. That glue all in there. And just like last time, anywhere there's a hole in this assembly, I'm going to be adding my adhesive. Beautiful. Man, that is beefy. Almost forgot. 2 O-rings right on the tip up here. There we go. Now we're good to go. Now let's build the plunger. This one's got some surprise guests that I forgot to mention earlier. If you have a crescent wrench and a 3/8 inch nut driver, these are going to be quite helpful for you. So go ahead and grab your threaded rod with the catch on it. Plunger goes on. Air brake goes on top. And your locking nut goes on top of that. This is the part where you're gonna want our surprise guests. The catch has, let's get it on camera, cutouts on either side that slide real nicely into our crescent wrench friend. And then we can just take our nut driver and get that locking nut on there nice and snug. Alright, there we go. Got that nice and snugged up. Now we want 2 of our large O-rings, 2 of our small O-rings. Large ones go stacked with each other on our plunger. Nice clean side by side. And then our 2 small ones go into the 2 obvious grooves on our air brake. Nice. Voila! Moose 1 plunger is assembled. Now before we move away from the plunger entirely, it's time to grab whichever stock you have decided to use and make sure that everything is moving smoothly. I've got a K25 stock and a K14 in front of me. The K14 is freshly printed and not filed. The K25 has been filed. So you want to make sure your plunger is not doing that. See how it's sticking part way? What you want the action to look like: clean, easy, as little friction as possible. And to accomplish that, you're gonna get real friendly with your file. So take your stock and give it a good ooh-woo until you can make the plunger slide in and out nice and smooth. Okay, now we're back. That's what we want to be seeing, is a nice, smooth, if somewhat suggestive, travel. So with that accomplished, we're good to move on. For the grip assembly, first of all, take your trigger and put the heat set insert into the top hole of the rear. I've done that off camera because it takes a while for that to warm up and go all the way in. Once you've got that done, piece of your elastic goes through the trigger with a knot in the rear, and I am going to double that up for a little extra retention. Voila. Snip it, keep it from fraying. Boom. And then this elastic is going to go out this front hole in the grip. Voila. And now we can pull this guy snug and tie it off. And then once again, giving myself a nice snug double knot. All right, we've got a trigger. You should have, if you pin the top of it down to keep that from lifting out, your trigger should bounce back nicely. Success. If you are using the palm rest, go ahead and drop that on now. You're going to want to keep this little dimple to the rear aligned with that dimple. I just use that as my guide. And then we've got one more long black screw, one more standard nut. Alright, so the screw I had was a little longer than I needed, but I've cut that down and now we're good to go. And our handle and trigger, also good to go. Go ahead and grab your front stop, your mag release, piece of elastic, mag release accents, and a pin. First things first, on your mag release, make sure that this hole is free spinning on a pin. If that does not spin freely, go ahead and drill it out a little wider or file it or whatever you do to make that smooth. Boom. We're going to take our front stop, put it on the front of this guy where it lines up. You will notice our holes for connecting it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. These are deep, deep holes, so we all just get to sit here while I use my screwdriver by hand. Anybody got any good jokes? That was a good one. Make sure you don't miss the third hole that is hiding on the underside in the mag release channel, but it is up in there. There we go. Straight down that channel. There we go. And now we're going to grab our little elastic bit, and that is going to go in through the one hole into our mag release. The mag release gets oriented so that this spike is coming out of, get out of my way, that hole right there. And we are going to take the elastic through that top hole like so and feed that back out. Don't bother snugging this up just yet, because first you want to get this guy into position like so, and then we're going to pin that in place. There we go. Alright, make sure your mag release still has nice free movement in there, and then go ahead and tie your elastic off. that guy snug. Tie our second knot. And there we go. Mag release is engaged. And then we're going to take our two little accent pieces. They fit nicely on here with these little pegs. I'm going to put a little bit, just a little drop of super glue on them before I put them on here. And then once I put them on, they'll be there to stay. Voila. Mag release and trigger. Okay. Up next, you are going to want your completed trigger assembly, mid frame, rear frame, and our plunger tube. Grip assembly is going to fit into the dovetails on the mid frame. Boop. And then we've got one screw hole right here up top to go ahead and lock those two together. Nice. Take your bolt, add that into the party, and then you're going to capture that with your rear frame. And this guy's got two holes on the back of it. Bam, bam. They're going to screw into the two holes on that mid frame. And our third screw up top brings it all together. That's starting to feel kind of blaster-ish. Nice. Now you're going to grab your threaded rod from wherever you let that get away to if you're me, and it's going to insert into the bottom hole in the back of our assembly so far. And that'll engage with the heat set insert in the back of our trigger. And then you just screw that in. The depth to which you screw this will be something you fine-tune later on. For now, we just want to make sure it's actually not cross-threaded like mine is, and seated properly into that trigger's insert. Come on, there we go. There we are. And then we're going to use that bar to break in the trigger action. Just make sure that that is nice and easy and that the trigger can move and retract without you having to apply extra effort. Once you've got a smooth action on that, we are ready to move on to the catch. Up next, you are going to need your stock of choice, the catch plate, the catch itself, your catch pusher, your catch spring, and one of your pins. Now, before we assemble this, take your catch and just file it down. File the surfaces until they are glassy smooth, and this thing is going to have a nice even time traveling. And then, if you want to be extra sure, take your reaming tool and you are going to widen this edge on both sides and turn that from a square wall into a nice ramp, because the one issue I have personally had was when this catcher, or this catch pusher, gets engaged and pushes, it can sometimes hit those walls instead of going straight into that channel. I'm off camera. There we go. So when this pusher goes to push and lift the catch, it can sometimes hit the walls on the side right there instead of going dead down the channel. So what I like to do is file these inner lips. And I'm just going to do that with either a file or my handy dandy reaming tool. And we are going to turn these sides into nice smooth ramps. All right. That should do it. And with those guys taken care of, we are going to squirt some of our moose spit, I think is what this lube is. Whatever, we're gonna squirt some of Moose's lube on into this thing. Nice. Drop our spring into our catch, and make sure you've got the rounded side facing out to engage with that pusher. And then spring goes into its divots. Okay, spring falls down the middle. There we go. Spring goes into its divots. Don't make me beg. There we go. Bam. And our catch is installed. Work that lube around a bit to give it some nice easy movement. And then we are going to add a little bit of lube, same idea, to the front of this. Make sure we are friction free. Put a little extra emphasis on that round off where the two parts are going to interface. And set that guy to the side. Now we want our stock and we want our catch pusher. Now the catch pusher has this little divot in it. Make sure that divot is facing towards the trigger. That is where your trigger rod is going to engage with to push and lift this thing. And once again, we are going to make sure that our pin freely spins in there, which it does not. It does. Beautiful. All right, when you're looking at the stock on the left side, the hole is smaller than the right side. The left side is a knockout hole. Please do not drive the pin through the left side. Please take your catch, put it in, and then put the pin through the right side. You'll save yourself a lot of heartbreak and part break. Go. Make sure you drive that pin in far enough that it is out of the channel that your U-beam needs to sit into. Beautiful. And that is still moving freely. I'm going to put just a little dab of lube on either side of my pusher to ensure nice and free travel. Or my catch pusher catch lifter. There we go. Beautiful. We got our stock. We got our catch. We're gonna slap these two boys together. And you're gonna hit those screw holes. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And we've got a stock. Now we get to start building a blaster. And now we get to take all of the pieces we've made so far and begin the stacking. So, ready up your U channels. And let's get to work. K25 buttstock. Man, that is already a heavy boy. K25 buttstock gets the associated spring, and our plunger is gonna get just so much lube on it. Where's my O-ring lubricant? That's good. Get those lubes nice and distributed. Beautiful. And we are back to the stack. Come on. There we go. So be smarter than me. You know, stuff does fall out of things if you turn them upside down. But this is the point I was talking about where we will tune that threaded rod. So this can now only close to this point because it is hitting on, yeah, I don't know if I can even get it on camera. There we go. The catch is back there and the threaded rod runs along there. So what you have to do is just a little bit of trial and error, but we are running this threaded rod into the trigger to find out how much more space we need. So I'm just gonna keep tightening this guy down into that insert in the trigger, and we're back. So I've now got that threaded rod tightened down to the point that you can see no threaded rod when it is separated, and as you push it together, the threaded rod comes in to engage with our little pusher in there, and once it is fully together, the pusher rod is fully seated in that little pusher. And now my trigger has nice response, and see that little orange tab there at the bottom? Nice and smooth lift. And if I stare straight up the butt plate of this, I can see the catch drop. Come on. There you go. You can see it rising out of the way. So we now know that this is ready to continue on. And onto that stack, we are going to add our magwell. Boom. Oh, this thing's looking hot. Oh, this is looking hot. Nice. And then onto our magwell, we can continue adding our body blocks. Another block joins the party. And our final block joins the party. And then we're just gonna need our two retaining pins. Front and rear. Beautiful. Oh, that's a beefy. Oh yeah, let's find that barrel. This is the 18-inch barrel with the fake flash hidery thing from Moose's files. It doesn't really do anything, but aesthetically it's dope. And since this one's just running the K25, there's really no need for bearings on it. That can happen on the K12 one. And we want the knob that I thought I had over here. Okay, filed ring. That's better. Medium O-ring. Boom. And then our barrel goes right where you'd expect it to. Oh, I'm gonna lube up the pushers before I try and shove this over them. And the barrel goes home. Yep. Beautiful. We got our barrel. You can see it is right up against that wall. So we are gonna drop. Come on, camera. We are gonna drop that O-ring down and screw the barrel into place. Nice. And you can see our pusher cleanly in and out of our barrel there, which means all that's left to test is the trigger. I've been told by Moose that all of his designs are safe to dry fire, so that sure sounded like it was ready to fire. Damn, that thing is hot. Right. And of course, we got the Moose mags with the extender. And 6. That is, it's just ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. Nice solid lockup, easy release. Oh yeah, he's a moose. Even on the K25, these things are just crazy blasters.